You finished the report last night. You closed the laptop, you went to bed satisfied, but this morning you can barely remember what was in it. Instead, your mind keeps drifting to the email you never sent, the load of laundry still sitting in the machine, the text message you opened and never replied to. That's strange, isn't it? The things you completed should feel like the ones worth remembering, but the real answer is far stranger. Your brain isn't built to remember what you finished. It's built to remember what you didn't. In the 1920s, a Soviet psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik sat in a busy Vienna cafe and noticed something odd. The waiters could recall long, complicated orders in perfect detail, right up until the moment the food was delivered. The second the order was complete, the memory vanished. Ask them 5 minutes later what table 6 had ordered, and they'd stare back blankly. Zeigarnik took that observation into the lab. She had participants complete a series of simple tasks, puzzles, math problems, little assembly exercises. Half of the tasks she let them finish. The other half she interrupted right in the middle for no clear reason. Later, she asked everyone to recall which tasks they'd worked on. The interrupted tasks were remembered nearly twice as often as the completed ones. Why would an unfinished puzzle outlast a finished one in memory? Zeigarnik believed the answer was tension. A completed task closes a mental loop. The brain files it away and moves on. An incomplete task leaves the loop open. And an open loop hums quietly in the background, using up a small but constant thread of attention until it's resolved. This became known as the Zeigarnik effect, and once you know it exists, you start noticing it everywhere. Think about the last time a TV show ended on a cliffhanger. You didn't forget about it. You thought about it in the shower, you thought about it at work, not because the ending was so beautiful you wanted to savor it, but because your brain refused to let it go. That's not weakness, that's architecture. Your ancestors didn't have Netflix, but they had something structurally identical. A half-built shelter before nightfall, a wounded animal that got away, a conversation cut short by danger. In a world where survival depended on finishing things, incompleteness was information. It meant don't relax yet, there's more to do. Stay alert. The brain that forgot unfinished business was the brain that got caught unprepared. The brain that kept chewing on it, quietly, persistently, was the brain that circled back and closed the gap. Over hundreds of thousands of years, that second kind of brain won out. You inherited it. But here's where it gets more interesting. This isn't just about memory. It reaches into motivation, into stress, into how you plan your entire day. In 2011, psychologists E.J. Masacampo and Roy Baumeister ran a study that pushed Zeigarnik's idea further. They gave participants an important task to complete later, then interrupted them before they could even begin. As expected, the unfinished task lingered in their minds, popping up as intrusive thoughts, distracting them from other work. But then Masacampo and Baumeister tried something simple. They asked participants to write down a specific plan for when and how they would complete the task. The intrusive thoughts dropped immediately. Not because the task got done, it hadn't, just because a plan existed. That single finding rewired how psychologists think about the Zeigarnik effect. The brain doesn't actually need completion to let go of something. It needs a plan. An open loop with no plan feels like a live wire. An open loop with a plan feels, to your nervous system, almost as good as done. This is why a messy to-do list can make you feel scattered and anxious, while the same list, written down with times and next steps attached, can feel calm just minutes later. Nothing external has changed. You still have the same number of unfinished things, but your brain has stopped treating them as emergencies. There's a second layer to this too, one that shows up in how you experience effort itself. In 1982, researchers Kenneth McGraw and Jarina Fiala studied people working on puzzles, some of whom were offered a reward for finishing, and some of whom weren't. Then, mid-puzzle, they were interrupted and given the chance to stop entirely. The people working purely out of intrinsic interest, no reward attached, were far more likely to return to the puzzle. The unfinished nature of it pulled them back and almost magnetically. Incompleteness itself was the motivator. You've felt this. A half-read book left open on the nightstand can tug at you more than a stack of finished ones ever will. So why does this matter for how you actually live your life? Because you are every single day carrying dozens of open loops without realizing it. The unanswered message, the half-organized closet, the course you started and stopped, the apology you meant to give, each one sits in the background, drawing a small constant sip of your attention. Not enough to notice on its own. But add them together, and you get that familiar feeling of a mind that won't quiet down, even when you're doing nothing at all. Modern life is unusually good at generating open loops. Every notification is a tiny unfinished story demanding closure. Every unread badge on an app icon is engineered. quite deliberately to exploit exactly this ancient wiring. App designers know the Zeigarnik effect by name. That red circle with a number in it isn't neutral design. It's a hook built directly into a survival mechanism that once helped your ancestors track wounded prey and unfinished shelters. You are not weak for feeling pulled toward your phone. You are running very old software in a very new environment. But there is a way to work with this instead of against it. The research is consistent on this point. You don't need to finish everything to quiet your mind. You need to decide specifically what finishing will look like and when it will happen. A vague intention keeps the loop open and loud. A concrete plan, even a small one, tells your brain the thread has been picked up and secured. It can stop pulling at your attention now. This is also strangely why your best ideas tend to arrive in the shower or on a walk or right before sleep. Stepping away from an unfinished problem doesn't close the loop. It just moves the work underground into the quieter parts of your mind that keep turning it over without you noticing. Ernest Hemingway reportedly used this on purpose, stopping his writing sessions mid-sentence in the middle of a scene he already knew how to finish. He wasn't being lazy. He was leaving the loop open on purpose, so his mind would keep working on it while he was away from the page. So the next time you finish a task and immediately feel your attention sliding towards something you haven't finished yet, know what that is. It isn't a flaw in your focus. It's a mechanism that helped a small, vulnerable species survive in a world full of unresolved threats. You don't need to close every loop to find peace. You just need your brain to believe, even briefly, that the loop is being handled. You went to bed satisfied about the report you finished, but it was the unsent email that stayed with you all night, quietly reminding you that closure isn't about what you complete. It's about what your brain still believes needs you.